Welcome back to the Over the Shoulder podcast, episode 29. This week we're going over the ECW titles. That includes the ECW Tag Team Titles, the television, and the World Titles, all the designs. Now, this week, unfortunately, Rob wasn't able to go on the episode. He was feeling a bit under the weather, so he's skipping this week, but he will be on next week. Unfortunately, Rob's not on this week, but he'll be back next week. But thankfully, I do have two wonderful co-hosts to help me out this episode. Starting off with Brandon Douglas. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How we doing, guys? How's everything going on? Belt Addicts Anonymous. It's great being on again. Had a great time last weekend at an Impact pay-per-view. Got my front row tickets. It was awesome. Jonah was there. You had Josh Alexander, Moose, of course. He retained the belt. You had Ring of Honor intervene with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Their new name now is Honor No More. So I think that's pretty cool. Little kind of like a little NWO thing they got going on. But other than that, man, I'm pleasure to be on. Thank you for having me. Love it.
Yeah, no, glad to have you back on. And once again, I don't know which fourth time, Kolfan93 Casey. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Who wants to lick my cheeks?
Oh shit. What is going on, you guys? It's KOFan93 back here on the Over the Shoulder podcast for the fifth. That's five time. Yeah. Good to be back.
No, glad to have you both on, and I couldn't think of a better group of people to have on in this episode. Let's go straight into it and start with the ECW Tag Team Titles. This is the original design. Now, this isn't the commonly known one. We'll get to that next. This is the version 1, I guess you could call it. And we talked about the ECW World Titles in a previous episode, how they were kind of just stealing old designs like the Winged Eagle and other belts. This is kind of similar. You can tell by just looking at it. It's a classic IC, which just changed a few things. And honestly, I don't really like it too much. I just never like when companies do that. It just seems very lazy and very, very indie. I don't know. It's not too professional, in my opinion. Of course, you can see just recycled IC design with the ECW logo on the front, which is kind of cool, actually. The wings on the top, the crown, because, of course, it's not going to have a WWF logo. ECW on the side plates. It's decent. The strap has zero tooling, which honestly disappoints me a lot, but it's okay. What do you think, Brandon?
Not really a big fan of the belt. I don't know who designed these off the top of my head. But yeah, the concept that they were doing does kind of seem like a little copycat going on. Always when you have the grapplers and those front plates right there, it's distinguishedly looks like an IC belt. I mean, just whenever you look at it, especially with the side plates. But yeah, other than that, the wings are surprisingly even with the plates. They're not extending out, stabbing somebody in the face, or in the stomach when they wear it. So that'd probably be the only positive thing I see about it. But other than that, yeah, I'm kind of, in the borderline there. What do you think, Casey?
Wow. So forgive me because older ECW stuff I'm not as educated on. I mainly know about the later 90s, Rob Van Dam's prime and all that stuff, and then, of course, the Invasion angle because I was a WWF kid. But, wow, this is just a terrible, terrible attempt at the IC design here. Look how blocky the side plates are.
Oh, they look like sharp edges.
It looks like a couple of saltine crackers crossed over one another. And notice the font on Heavyweight Wrestling Champion down there. It seems abnormally skinny and just out of place. I don't like the placement of the ECW logo right there in the middle with that. It looks like a black globe. I think it would have been better if they had gone with a red globe and put the ECW logo up top. Definitely, and then add some color to those side plates. At least fill in those gaps on the sides.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of this by any means.
No, it's a very random design, especially like if you're gonna steal a tag design, why the IC for a tag? It doesn't scream tag team. It doesn't make sense for a tag team belt. It's a mediocre attempt at the IC. I just don't like it at all. What did you have to say?
I've never seen anybody with this belt replicated or hung on their wall.
For good reason.
If there is somebody that's on Belt Addicts, please send us a direct message of the picture. Maybe we can get a better, definition of it. But right now, it just looks horribly trash. I don't even know what's up in the top above the tag. I don't even know what.
I think it's like a crown, maybe.
It's a crown.
Maybe finding pictures for this belt was rough, but
yeah. So if somebody has it on our page, please send one of us, admin team, one of the pictures so we can better, trash it. Thank you.
No, let's move on to a better tag team design in the version 2, or the more commonly known ECW World Tag Team Championship. I'm gonna let you guys go first for this one because I have very strong opinions on this belt. Go ahead, Brendan.
This is one of my fave belts, especially when I was started early collecting. I had the whole entire line of ECW belts. This, especially this one in particular, like I said, I was a big fan of it. Some people, kind of, negative towards it. But in my opinion, I thought it was cool. It started representing, what ECW was, the hardcore initiative, the razor blades, the saws. That's when you can start to see the the hardcore in the company. But I was a big fan of it. Casey, what do you think?
So growing up, this is one of the first replicas that I noticed outside of the original WWF line. Being a little kid, I didn't really pay that much attention to the design. It just didn't catch my eye that much. They definitely nailed the hardcore theme here. With you've got the fencing on either side with the razor wire, like Brandon said, the saw blades. You got the brick wall right there. That's almost an homage to the entrance for ECW. It definitely fits the ECW theme. But to this day, this isn't one that I'm absolutely crazy on. But I got to quote the head of the table, Rob Staniloff, whenever I say, would I own it? Yes, because it's rare.
Now, the reason I want to get your guys' opinion first is just to know how harsh it should be on this belt. I'm going to be honest. I hate this design. I think it just does not make sense. I don't know. It just looks like someone got a proper design and just notched the top off. It looks so weird and it just seems incomplete, especially the side plates. Like main plate, okay, I get the saw coming out, fine. Side plates, though, this looks so weird. It looks like someone like those like scissors that you used to cut paper in kindergarten that had like the zigzags. It looks like someone used that to cut these plates out. I hate that. It just seems like someone just chopped top off the plates. I don't enjoy that. I know probably a lot of people have a lot of emotional connection to this belt design. And me being younger, I never really saw ECW, never saw this belt in the ring. So I'm just looking at it aesthetically. I don't like it at all. You can barely tell. You can barely see the ECW. It's blending into that black globe. I can barely tell it's the ECW logo. The text, in my opinion, looks ridiculous. You can barely see it. It just looks like someone scribbled it on. I don't like it. It's fitting the hardcore theme, but for a tag team title, it doesn't scream tag team at all. Just a random design. Don't like it.
So I got to know, would you take this one or the light heavyweight?
Uh-oh.
That's pretty hard. I'd say, unfortunately, it's a light heavyweight. As much as I hate that belt, listen, it's like either you eat dog shit or you eat horse shit. It's both shit, but I'm going with the dog shit in this case.
The history of when ECW started with their tag team, I don't know if a lot of their matches were cage matches, and that's why they had done that whole cage thing. but I could be wrong. So, but that'd be my only opinion on why it's so distinctive with the cages and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't mind the cages. But like we'll talk about in the different design. I don't mind the cage. It's just like it doesn't scream tag to me at all. Like as a hardcore title, sure, but
Yeah.
tag team, how is it tag team at all? It doesn't make the only reason you know it's tag team because it says tag team scribbled on there with a red Sharpie. But I don't know. I don't really like this belt. Let's go on to the original ECW World Television title. I I don't like this belt. I really don't. It's like you can tell from the main plate they just stole the winged eagle, obviously, and very lazily. Like it doesn't look good. If you're gonna steal a design like classic design like the winged eagle, at least do it properly. This looks like shit. Okay, horse shit. This looks horrendous. Like I feel like now after looking at all these belts, I feel like ECW is notorious with having a horrible first version of their belts because this looks horrible. The main plate design is obviously Wayne Eagle stolen design. They slapped an ECW on there. They scribbled the letters on there, put a crown on the top, call it a day. Side plates look like shit. It doesn't make sense. Like the circular plates don't fit with that belt. Leather cut looks boring. I don't like it. What do you think, Brandon?
Right there with you, Max. I'm completely one-sided with this one. This is horrible. I don't like it. You're literally just copying WWF. Literally. Rushed. It seems like, these belts at the beginning of the line were just rushed and copycatted. Didn't know what they're fabricating their company into. So definitely hard pass on that one. I don't even really have anything really to talk about it on it. It's just really boring me right now. Casey, insight on this?
So, this looks like it belongs on a buffet table at a dinner party. You serve your turkey, your ham, your beef Wellington, whatever the hell it may be, right there on that main plate, and then you've got your dishes on either side, your serving dishes. Who in the blue hell thought this looked even remotely a tiny little shred of decent? Number one, where are the sidebars?
Oh shit, they forgot those.
Where are the sidebars? What the hell is that font?
I want sidebars.
And why does the ECW logo just look like they took a piece of duct tape and this belt is dog trash. I'm not gonna. You know what I'm just gonna say? It's dog shit. This is god awful. I want to vomit. I want to burn it. And I want whoever made it to go to therapy or something because they really need to figure out their life choices.
Yeah, no, this looks like a belt that United Belt Brothers would design. It just looks like absolute dog shit. The ECW logo is literally covering the globe, like half of the globe. Like they were that lazy they couldn't have like moved it up a little. It's just stupid. It really is.
If we have a fellow belt addict, guy in here that has this belt, they had it made, please send us a picture again so we can have a better picture of it to talk shit about it. That's about it. Thank you.
I noticed something else about this. Look right there around the breast area of the Weagle, or the Weagle, the winged eagle. You see the television. Look at that. Look where it says television.
That's ridiculous. You can't.
Did they take a soldering iron to the Weagle there and just butcher it?
It's ridiculous. It really is.
This is a terrible Weagle.
Yeah, no, I hate this belt. I really do. And I feel like all the ECW first versions of their belts look like complete dog shit. And this is a prime example. Absolutely hate it. Let's move on to a well-made belt that had actually some thought put into it. Now, this is the version 2, or the most commonly known as the ECW World Television Title. Absolutely beautiful. And we talked about the rail or the brick in the background. I love that brick background nameplate on the side plates. It pops so nicely. The nugget texturing, I love nugget texturing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nugget texturing makes a belt just look this much better. It looks beautiful. Paint looks wonderful. The red paint. That font. It doesn't look like a thin Sharpie like line. It's actual text on there. It looks properly made. Beautiful. Love the shade of blue on the globe. Purple on the ECW looks wonderful, especially on the side plates too. I love it. I love the unique shape of the main plate. It's circular, but it's not just a circle. It has like those indents coming into the main plate. I really love that. Champion, it all fits. It looks wonderful. That being said, doesn't really fit as a television title. I mean, doesn't make sense. But I love the design, so I can look past that. What do you think, Brandon?
Huge fan of this belt. Love this belt. When I first started watching ECW, didn't even know what ECW was. I was on the WCW hiatus, right fresh with Rey Mysterio, watching Monday Night. I don't even remember when it came on. Casey, do you remember when ECW was on Saturday nights?
It was either Saturday nights or Tuesday nights.
Either, yeah, it was one of, yeah, I think sometimes both. I think maybe it switched. I'm not sure, but it was one of those.
Like, what channel were they on? Were they on
random I want to say WB. For me in Florida, I want to say WB, but I could be wrong. It was a local channel. It wasn't a one of those popular.
They weren't on like TNN or anything.
It was a very low budget network. Like, it was a local channel for me. So if it was a local channel, then it was one of those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one of those channels. They said down in Florida. I don't know, how it is in other states, but those were your local channels, and those were the lower ones, and that was on. So like I said, I fell into it. I can't remember who walked out with it. It might have been Rob Van Dam. It might have been somebody before that. But I saw that belt and instantly fell in love with it. And that was the belt that got me to start watching ECW. And I didn't actually at the time like the violence of what they were doing, because it was pretty gory at my age watching it. I can't remember what match it was off the top of my head, but I know Cactus Jack was in it. And there was just barbed wire and blood, and I'm just like, yo, this is way too much. Let me go back to Rey Mysterio doing flips off the top rope and Huna Karada, and all that. It was really bloody, and then it actually started me wanting to like wrestle and stuff. So I would wrestle on my bed and smash my head on cassette tapes and try to like bust my head open so I was bleeding. And oh yeah, those are the times. And then my mom walked in and be like, "What the hell are you doing, jumping on the bed?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to wrestle and win a belt. Like, leave me alone." But this was one of my more intimate belts. So yeah, what about you, Casey?
So I love this design. It's definitely a huge upgrade from the Weagle. Everything about this belt, there's nothing that I can find to complain about, except I really don't understand the shape of the main plate. I've had the replica of this. It's absolutely wonderful. Rob Van Dam, he's the guy that I think of whenever I see this belt. Definitely RVD. God, he was television champion for quite a while, if not several times. The replicas, which I'm sure we'll get into later, there are some big things that I want to point out about that, looking at this original version of the real belt. Now, when this belt first came out on ECW television, it did have a different color scheme. The World Title also had one as well, but we'll get into that later.
Right.
I believe the globe on this was yellow on the original version, and the letters were red.
Oh, okay.
Brandon may have a little more insight on that, but I do remember seeing a picture of RVD with a different color scheme belt. But I absolutely love this thing, and I can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah, it's a beauty, and the yellow seems interesting. I feel like it would have like blended in too much with the gold. I think the blue stands out perfectly, especially for a globe. I'm not sure how that would have looked, honestly, but yeah, I really do love this version. Do you guys have anything else you want to add to this? No? Okay, perfect. Now let's move on to the World Title. Starting off with the NWA ECW World Championship. I mean, we covered the ECW World Championship in a previous episode more in depth. So if you guys want to check that out, we'll talk about different versions now. And this one's a little more brief, but yeah, this is another piece of complete dog shit. Like this is horrendous. We talk about the first versions of the ECW belts looking like shit. This is a prime example of what I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this belt. This looks so bad. I can't even comprehend what they were thinking. Absolute horseshit. So Casey has the belt there.
Yeah, I was wrong on the color scheme on that. It's red and black, but yeah, there was a different color scheme on that one.
No, I love that. That looks way better. Because if it was yellow, I feel like that would have blended in with the gold too much. But no, this color scheme on this belt looks like dog shit. Purple, red, it doesn't even match. The design, the heavy and the weight is separated. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? It's heavyweight, not heavy. Space weight. Stupid. Wrestling champion, fine. The white ring, don't understand why, and the lines on the bottom. It honestly looks like complete shit. The side plates remind me of the IC, but it's fine. They all look like the exact same. I really do hate this belt. It looks like complete dog shit. What do you think, Brandon?
What in the rainbow Skittles fuck is that? There's just too many colors. Like I told you in one of our early podcasts, I was like, you don't want to mix more than a couple colors with the belt. Once you start getting to more than 3 colors, it starts clashing with the actual look of the belt and just the way it hits the light. And I'm just complete negative about coloring belts like that. I'll get my 2-year-old to color a belt for me. She'll do a better job than this. I'm completely not on board with. I get the originality and the history and whatnot, but I'm just not a fan of color belts, and this is just too many colors for me, man. I'll grab a bag of Skittles and call it a day.
Casey, what do you think?
I've hated this belt ever since the first time I saw it. It's a jumbled mess. The ring is at the bottom. That's just a little odd. The thing that makes sense is it is Eastern Championship Wrestling, which was based out of Philadelphia. You've got Pennsylvania right there front and center. Rather than a globe, you've got Pennsylvania, New Jersey, looks like Maryland right there. So that does fit, but everything else is just so jumbled together. You've got intercontinental style side plates. The top around your logo area looks more like the classic WWF tag, as well as the eagle. And then it's just like it just jumbles together after that, going down all the way to the bottom where that weirdly placed ring is. I know the colors changed on this multiple times. Featured lots of heavy reds later on. I've never liked this belt, and I'm glad that it doesn't exist in replica form because you guys know I have to get the rare stuff, and this is not something that I would want to own.
Yeah, no, it's an ugly ass belt. So let's move on.
They knew better. They knew better not to replicate this shit.
It's still better than the Weagle.
They did replicate the hardcore and the light heavyweight, so maybe sometimes they replicate dog shit. But let's talk about the 96 to 98 ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Another sloppy or boring attempt. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just boring. Honestly, I don't like it. It's very boring. Doesn't scream ECW. Leather cut doesn't make sense at all. It's so off-centered. It's fucking stupid. Shell tooling going around, simple, I guess. I do like the flags on the side plates, but the side plates shapes, I feel like doesn't fit with the main plate. I just don't like it. Very boring design. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the countries and all that. I think that's pretty cool. The world is different. I like the texture of that globe there. Other than that, I see they keep using the crown. I guess they're trying to state that they're the kings of wrestling. Strap actually looks okay. It looks better than most of the straps that they've had down the line there. but it doesn't fit the plates. The tooling that they did up top on there is just horrific, especially on the bottom too. Now that I think about it, no, it's not good at all.
Yeah.
So that they have the cruiserweight pillars right there, so they're just a really copycat belt, making company. Like I said, I don't know who's the maker of these belts. We need to figure out who it was and why they did what they did.
No, I have no idea what the hell they were doing.
So I mean, overall, it looks better than the previous two. However, this is just another case of a jumbled mess. I don't understand why the side plates, the outers, have one flag taking up the whole plate, and then the two inner side plates, they have two flags. They're just smashed together. They could have easily put the flags of the countries that they're mainly around. Like if they travel out of America, they go over to England or up into Canada. They could have put two flags on that main plate. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of copycat things, like Brandon mentioned. You do see the cruiserweight pillars there. You also see the floral patterns right next to those cruiserweight style pillars. The same floral patterns that can be seen on the classic dual plated WWF tag. It's better than the last two, but it's still bad.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's move on to a properly designed belt, and actually well-loved belt. That is the 98-02 ECW World Heavyweight Championship. And this is a beauty. Let's just get that straight. This is a beautiful, beautiful belt. Probably the most well-known belt when you think of the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. You think of this. I really do love the purple ECW, the blue globe, the barbed wire, and like the barbed wire bats on the main plate, the world and the champion banner. I don't really like the the heavyweight wrestling text. I don't like that thin writing, but it's not bad. Side plates, I love the shape of the side plates. I love how uniform they look with the hardcore wrestling and the globes on each side, and then the ECW logo on the far side plates. I think this looks really good. What do you think, Brandon?
Now we're starting to get somewhere with the ECW line of belts. This is one of my favorite belts. This is when I think you can see they started developing an identity. They changed from the copycat, type of belts, and they created their own. The baseball bats, brilliant. The barbed wiring. I actually love the lettering of how they changed the font, the thin with the blood dripping down. I think that was brilliant. That was a great idea. Again, in my era growing up, seeing the WCW line, seeing the WWF line, and then seeing the ECW line, you're like, oh my gosh, they're actually taking, hardcore to another level. And I wouldn't be surprised if WWF took the idea of introducing the hardcore title, with watching them grow as a company, because they were picking up at that time. They had Taz, Rob Van Dam, Raven. They were definitely getting some ratings and causing some stir, down in the indies, and becoming a pro wrestling organization that took off, and they kicked it off with this belt, and of course the other belts we're going to be talking about also, especially the purple ECW. That's a rarity in itself. If you have one of these Fig Zinc belts, these are a really good belt to own. I've had every single ECW belt there ever was with the Figs, and they are an awesome belt to own. And keep at his collection if you're a true hardcore ECW fan. But wrapping that up, the purple definitely, and again, how I said with the color contrast, they use 3 colors, so that's pretty good, keeping it, that low. But I'm a big fan of it. Casey, what you got?
Right there with you, man. I absolutely love this belt. First time I saw it was in the catalog. The purple logo definitely pops. Having the purple background on those outer side plates behind the logo also really helps bring that forward a lot more. Everything about this belt hits with me, from the baseball bats there on the sides. You've got the chain link background to, I guess, insinuate a cage match. The barbed wire globes on 3 of the plates there. Once again, I don't really understand the shape of the plates, but overall, this belt is absolutely wonderful. Everything from this version to every other version that they've had of it, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, this is of course the version that RVD held when he won the WWE Championship, and I'm pretty sure that's a replica that he held that
Yes, it
Paul
is.
Heyman gave him. So kind of funny, but you can tell it's a damn good replica. We'll talk about it when we get to the replicas, but it looks really good there compared to the spinner belt. But even the real belt's the one. If I had to nitpick it, it's a very small belt. Even the real one is a very, very small belt. And now let's move on to the ECW World Heavyweight Championship, the red version. Now, this one was used in 06, I believe. I really do like this version. I kind of prefer it more because I don't know, red's my favorite color, so obviously I'm going to prefer the red. I think it looks more uniform, more well done. Yeah, I just prefer the red, honestly, but more than the purple. I didn't mind the purple in the previous version, but I really do love that red. The barbed wire really pops on that ECW logo with the red in the background. I love the tooling on that belt. The barbed wire tooling going all the way around. I think that's absolutely perfect. I think clamshell tooling on this belt would be way too boring for ECW. The barbed wire looks amazing. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, WWE definitely knocked this one out of the park, surprisingly, at that time after the silver freaking cinder block. But yeah, this belt, they definitely amplified with the color scheme, highlighting the background, showing actually what it was, prior to not having it more, visible. The ECW red definitely catches your eye, especially with the blood dripping down again. Big fan of that. They changed the second side plates there to red with black background. Just like I said, just to amplify the plates to show you actually what it looked like, because the later versions were gold, so they didn't show you the contrast of that. But other than that, big fan of this. It's hard to actually sit on a without a belt holder.
Yeah.
If it's on the wall, it's better. But yeah, that one, when you're placing it somewhere, it's definitely tough. But what you got, Casey?
So this design, I like it a lot more than the previous one. This one hits home with me because Kane being my favorite wrestler, this was the version of the ECW title that he won there in 2008, WrestleMania 24. One of my favorite moments in wrestling history. I've owned this belt a number of times. I would definitely get it again, but it would have to be a Fig Zing version.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm going to paint mod it to get all those spaces in between the fence back there black again. I don't know why. It takes forever. It's a royal pain in the ass, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Love this belt. Love the barbed wire tooling. I'm glad that the replica doesn't have the same leather cut because, like Brandon said, it's going to be hard to sit without a holder. And yeah, that's about all I got on it. I love this thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful belt. And you can see there on Rhino how small it really is. Even on Punk, it's a pretty damn small belt, but I think it looks great over the shoulder, around the waist. It's a beautiful belt. Let's move on to the big silver. I know Rob, if he was on here, he'd love to talk about this belt. He loves this belt a lot, and I know he's probably looking for the Fig Zing version. Personally, I don't really like it. Never was a huge fan. I just don't like it. Like, the side plates look like fucking sea urchins. It looks ridiculous. Main plate, it's way too big for the side plates. I don't know, way too wide. I don't like that eagle, whatever the hell that is. I just don't like the color scheme. The black and silver is okay, I guess. Main plate looks a little small for that huge main plate. I really don't like this belt. It's leather cut, boring, no tooling. I don't like this belt. If you can't tell already, I'm not a huge fan. What do you think, Brandon?
I have personally owned this belt. It's been in one of my collections. This thing is heavy as hell. This is one of the heaviest belts they've ever made. this thing was over 20. I want to say 28 pounds, Casey. I could be wrong. Somewhere around there, but it was around that heavy. The eagle looked. When I saw it, it had more like a Harley Davidson kind of feel to it. And then it also looked like it's splat against a windshield and then just corroded. But other than that, the side plates, they have a Triple H kind of feel to them. They, for some reason, I'm getting a vibe off of that. They have the nameplate changeable thing. I thought that was pretty cool. But this belt was perfect if you were 6'2", 290, 300, 350. It would actually feel like a belt to us. But yeah, one of the heaviest belts that, like you said, Max, the tooling on the strap, it was just really lazy. But it was also it was a nice strap if you had a newer version. Like it wasn't old. It definitely, if you took care of it, it was a good strap. But in that sense, yeah, it was really heavy belt. It was kind of more of a pain in the ass to keep having the collection. If you actually put it on the wall, it might rip the 2x4 out of the wall. That's how heavy it was. But Casey, how are you with this?
So I've never really liked this belt. I have owned it. Got the Figure Zinc version back in like 2010 or 11. That's because it was on final clearance over at A&J's Belts. I got this thing for like $180. Wasn't a fan of the fact it had a nameplate on it. Didn't like that it was an ECW belt with World Wrestling Entertainment as well as their logo. Also notice every WWE logo on that belt is crooked. So that was the first thing that caught my eye with this whenever I got it. Whenever I unboxed it, was holy crap, the logos are crooked. Don't understand the shape of any of the plates. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't relate to ECW. It doesn't even relate to WWE ECW. Granted, that whole show was a joke. This belt is a joke. It was literally made for Mark Henry to win the title, and I have no idea why the hell they kept this after he dropped the belt.
And it looks so huge on other people. Christian, you can see Matt Hardy there. It just looks like a huge belt. And that strap, such a wide cut and no tooling. Just snaps there.
I don't know how they wore it around their waist because, like I said, this thing weighed a ton, and you couldn't strap it from the front and then turn it around. It was impossible.
And another thing, Brandon, I don't know if you disassembled yours, but I always take my belts apart when I clean them. The plates on the replica were hollow as hell. So I don't know how the real one was, but all the detail from the logo, even the Phoenix, that's not an eagle, that's a Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix, there we go.
It was all hollowed out. I can only imagine that the real one was, because this thing would be close to a 30 to 40 pound belt if it wasn't hollow.
Yeah, no, that would be ridiculous. Let's move on to the replicas. We're only going to go over official replicas in this episode because the replicas are pretty good. Let's start with the Fig Zinc ECW Tag Team Championships. I already talked about how I feel on the actual design. Replicas itself, though, it looks damn good. It looks really well made. I don't like the design. I've said it before, but the replica itself looks very, very well made. The strap looks decent. It's not bad. It really isn't bad. Obviously, they use actual paint on this belt, not the epoxy that they use now on the shop belt, so the paint will go falling off. It's a pretty rare belt. I know you guys know more about that than me. Fig Zinc belt, so it's pretty cool. What do you think, Brandon?
This was an awesome belt. Like I said, I had it in my collection. It was very light. It wasn't a heavy belt at all. The probably the highlight of the belt was the purple strap in the back. That was awesome. I loved it. Definitely caught my eye, and that's why I wanted it in my collection, was just because of the purple strap. I'll admit that. But other than that, same thing that we had talked about before. But Casey, what you got?
So I've never owned this replica, but I definitely plan on getting one in the near future. I I've seen pictures of a bunch of different versions, be it early Figs Inc. when it was the ECW releases, or later on after WWE bought the rights and all that stuff. The Globe, I think on the originals was a solid black, and then it was like on the newer ones, I don't know what they did. They put something over it, and it was almost like a burgundy color in the right light. Looking at this picture, I don't know what the hell that green splotch is out to the right side of the W there on the main plate, but I don't recall ever seeing that. But no, I can't really give too much of an opinion on this because I've never owned it, but definitely in the near future, we'll check it out.
It's a pretty rare belt too, so great addition to any collection. I'm sure Rob would own it because, well, it's rare. Let's move on to the Figs Inc. ECW World Television Title. Talked about how much I love this belt, and the replica looks pretty good. I definitely get it re-leathered because I love getting every belt re-leathered. I know Casey and Rob definitely don't feel the same way. They go for stock straps all the time. But yeah, no real tooling on the strap at all. It's just stitching going around with a simple strap. That's my main gripe with it. I'd love some tooling on there, so I'd probably go with re-leather on this. I love the plates though. The bricks look really good. The texturing looks really good. The paint looks damn good. I love the shade of blue. Love the shade of red. I think it looks like a really good replica, and this might have to be my first Figs Inc. belt. The more I look at it, the more I fall in love with it. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, again, I had owned this belt in my collection. It was an awesome belt. I actually had a couple of them over my time. The second one I had was very mint. It was new. Had a little funny thing about it. Casey will explain about it in a second here. But this belt was one of my favorite belts. This is what caught my eye to start watching ECW. People that have held the belt, great names. This was like the Intercontinental belt of ECW. Other than that, the side plates, the only thing I would say though, the side plates were a little smaller to my liking. But other than that, this was an awesome belt to have. If you own this belt, if you're an ECW fan, keep it. It's just a very memorable belt to have.
What do you think, Casey?
I love this thing too. I've had it. I got it from Brandon, as a matter of fact, which will lead into that funny story I'll tell you in just a second. Obviously, lots of differences between this one and the real one, but no gripes for me. I loved the replica that I got off Brandon. It was wonderful. Now, here's what's funny. There are two versions of this belt when it comes to the overall design for the replica. You've got the version right here. This was the version 2. It had the black ECW logo. And earlier releases had the purple logo, like you saw in the picture of the real belt. They actually had a purple logo. Well, I guess this happened whenever WWE acquired the rights to ECW and to their replica line. But they painted a very thin layer of black paint over those purple logos. So, if you hold this version of the belt up to the light, you can see that purple paint underneath that thin layer of black, and it almost looks like a deep brown, almost maroon color. It's kind of funny. Just a quick little thing that me and Brandon caught whenever I was shooting a video of it, and now I just can't ever unsee it on this version.
I don't. Why would they even paint that black? It just makes no sense.
Why did they paint the side plates on the WCW purple?
Sure. Yeah, WWE being WWE, I guess. Doesn't make sense. But let's move on to the Figs Inc. ECW World Championship, the Taz version. Now, this one's very, very rare. I haven't seen barely any people have this replica in their collection. Very interesting scheme, mostly black, some red text on there, black glow. It's really cool. We talked about it previously in the World Title episode. I really like this design. And I think with a good re-leather and a proper backing, it could be a damn good replica. What do you think, Brandon?
This belt I also had in my collection. I came across it when I was first starting into getting in the game of belt collecting. Found it on Macari for dirt cheap. I think I bought it for $187. This was an awesome belt. The backing was the rattleskin backing, bright orange color. It was pretty much the same looking belt it had had the Taz logo in the back of it, so it represented Taz, and it was his belt because at that time he had made a belt, the one that we had talked about earlier that looked like the winged eagle. He had customized that belt because Shane Douglas was the champion and had gotten hurt. So Taz claimed himself as the new FTW champion, and the first FTW belt was actually like I said, it looked like the winged eagle, and then it went to the actual FTW circular belt that said Taz across it. But yeah, that was the whole gimmick for that, and that's what that started. But to that relation there, same thing, had the same side plates. Everything was similarity to it, except the only difference was the color scheme, which was awesome. There's only a couple colors to it. The red and the black, just boom! It was just awesome. It was like a Stone Cold Steve Austin belt to me. But yeah, the Taz in the back behind the baseball bats, it was awesome. Great idea Jamar did on that. But yeah, what do you got, Case?
So I got to correct you guys. That's not red. That's orange.
Orange. I mean, sorry, orange.
I recently owned a re-leathered version of this belt. It was on an orange strap. This thing is just badass. This is awesome to look at. The orange and black attack belt, as I call it. Everything about this pops. This is my second favorite version of this belt, and I definitely hope to add this to the collection soon again. But of course on a stock strap. It had the regular snake skin backing like the regular version did. But yeah, this thing was awesome. It's so unique, even though it doesn't stray too far away from the original. This thing just hits with me, and I love it. I absolutely love this belt. And if you have this in your collection, you've got a rare piece right here because there weren't many made. Cherish that thing and hang on to it because it's an absolute gem. And yeah, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah,
I sold it for $600. I'll just say that I sold it for $600.
And I doubt they're gonna remake this belt, especially with Taz in AEW currently. So, this is probably a belt they're not gonna remake anytime soon. Let's move on to the Fake Zinc ECW World Championship. This is, of course, the purple version, and like I talked about in the previous belt, it looks fucking amazing. I love this belt. It looks really good. Of course, RV used this in the ring after he won the title from Cena at One Night Stand. Crazy event, and it looked really good. Actually, it didn't look too off. The shaded gold didn't look too bad compared to the spinner belt. So it just shows to tell you how high quality Fake Zinc belts were back in the day. Not so much nowadays, but I love the paint. I love the purple paint on the side plates and the main plate. I do prefer the red version a bit more, but it looks really good. What do you think, Brandon?
Yes, huge fan of this belt. Loved it. Everything about it. 5 out of 5. The red with the globe. Like I said, it was the purple version. So if you have this version, also a rarity in itself. Hold on to it. Big fan of it. Don't even get more in detail about it. Casey, what about you?
Once again, this is a really awesome replica. I have never owned this version of it. But I do have a lot of knowledge on this because there are a couple of different versions between the original ECW line and then the WWE acquired Fake Zinc stuff. First and foremost, it's going to be up by your logo, the trademark symbol. On your WWE versions, you're going to have that TM present after the W. On your original versions, you are not going to see that. So if you needed to know, like if you've got a re-leathered belt and you don't know, that's how you're going to find out. Notice that the Taz logo is still present behind the baseball bats on the sides of the main plate. I don't know how they didn't catch that, especially whenever they made changes like adding the trademark logo. That's kind of a big thing to miss because it's very obvious, it's very prominent.
I thought that Taz had 2 different belts. So when I had acquired that belt, I said, "Oh my gosh, Taz has 2 different versions of the ECW belt."
Right?
And Scott Pruitt was like, "No, man, why? Why do you say that?" I was like, "Because there's Taz behind the bats still. Is that just a mishap? Did they catch that? How many did they make? Like, I'm not sure, but I did own this belt, and again, I thought because I had 3 different versions of this belt. I think they were made, I had the Taz and the two other ones, and like I said, one of them had Taz on it, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm just
Taz had two belts.
Yeah, I don't recall if they made a version of this belt particularly that did not have the Taz logos on the side. I don't think they made one without it until the 2007 version came along, but I could be wrong.
That's hilarious. Of course. Now let's move on to the Big Silver, the fake Zinc Big Silver. Now I don't like this design, but it is a very well made replica, very good quality. If you're trying to replicate that shitty design, here you go, Rob. I know for sure looking for this belt. So, I mean, the strap is accurate, I guess. Same shitty strap, boring ass strap, no tooling, just stitching. Same stupid side plates. They are stacked. So is the main plate, but Casey, like you mentioned earlier, they're all hollow plates, which honestly I don't see as a big deal because you don't want them to be hollow. Fuck, it's gonna be like 30, 40 pounds. But yeah, I don't like the design, but it's a pretty good replica and it's pretty rare nowadays too. What do you think, Brandon?
Like I said, I own this belt. It was a heavy freaking belt. Wasn't a big fan of it. And I quote, it was a phoenix, not an eagle. I had somebody tell me that. I think Scott, for you again, corrected me on that when I first acquired it. I was like, what's wrong with this eagle? Did it die? And he's like, it's a phoenix, bro. And I was like, oh. Okay.
Just like the ECW brand, it died.
I think that's why they put it on there. They're like, hey, here's a dying breed of bird. Here you go. But yeah, said I owned it. It was just to have it. It was a cool belt. Got rid of it. I think Colin bought it off of me. But other than that, yeah, same thing. Like I told you, it had like the Triple H side plates to it, looking, symbol there. But yeah, what you got?
So once again, I'm just gonna say, not a huge fan of this thing. I owned it. I was quick to get rid of it. The rest is history. There's a lot of versions of this. You had this version. They had a commemorative version, kid size.
Deluxe. They had a deluxe, and Scott has the deluxe version.
Was it a deluxe or was it considered an ultra deluxe?
I think it's an ultra deluxe, and he has
there was like 100 of them, weren't there?
Yeah, he has like number 37 or 27, something like that.
But then let's also not forget there was a Masters series made of this thing. I can honestly say this is one of those that if you get the Master Series of this belt, it's a ripoff, especially back in the catalog days, because it's just these exact same replica plates, just like with the deluxe belt. It's the same standard plates, just on a different kind of strap. And the main difference with this Master Series versus the deluxe or ultra deluxe, whatever the hell it was, is you've got a backing over the screws, yet you're still paying $1,600 to $2,000 for this thing just because it has a certificate of authenticity and a velvet bag. Now I know Jamie, this is probably one that he would pick up in a Master Series just because he's looking for any of the Master Series for his collection. It's really rare. I would probably own one if the opportunity arose and I had the money, but otherwise this thing can reside in the rare seas of Lake Minnetonka or something.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting design. Not for me. I know some people either love it or hate it. I'm in the hate it boat. Let's move on to WWE Shop, though. The WWE Shop ECW World Championship. This is the red version. It's the only version they have on the shop, but is based on the red ECW World Title. And I think it's not bad, though. I mean, I'm not really noticing any huge inaccuracies. I know, Casey, you can call me out if I see any inaccuracies, but to me, it looks damn good. 5mm plates, strap looks decent, has the barbed wire tooling. Yeah, it's not a bad replica. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, they actually hit it off, nailed it with the strap, and like I was telling you before, how it'd be really hard to have it sitting on something. It would have to be a belt holder, but other than that, they knocked it out of the park with the strap, being able to sit it flat, not having it lean over. Yeah, no, nothing wrong, with the plates. Good color, blue. I don't know if all the color blue is the same blue. Casey, you can check me on that one. But other than that, big fan of it. Never had it, but I saw it all over Marketplace and eBay a few years ago. But other than that, yeah, I like it.
I've had this belt. It's very nice. Really, really enjoyed it for the short period of time that I did. It's just something came up where I was able to get something that I wanted a little bit more, so I moved this. But I would definitely get one again if I were to go the shop direction in the future. But as of right now, we're sticking to Fig Zinc. This is vastly different from the Fig Zinc version. It's a lot better than the Fig Zinc version from the 5mm plates, the attention to detail. There are no inaccuracies aside from the stitching on the strap that I can find. This thing is gorgeous. It's heavy. It's set well in the collection. And even though I don't have it anymore, I had no complaints with it. And yeah, if you guys have this, good job. It's a pretty good build.
And no Taz.
Yeah, no Taz.
Now, that is the last belt on this episode. That is bringing us to the end of the episode. So like every episode, let's pull out a belt, put it over our shoulders, and show what belts we have. Start off with Casey. Which belt do you have over your shoulder?
So, today I have the very rare WCW Figs Inc. Cruiserweight Championship. This is a very, very small belt, but it's a beauty. I got this off of a really good friend, and I love it. It's on a real leather strap. I plan on swapping it back to the Figs Inc. because it's just a send-out strap, so super easy to do. Love this thing. Yeah, that's my belt.
Beauty. Leather looks good too. Brandon, what do you have over your shoulder?
Yeah, that leather looks really good, Casey. That's nice leather. Well, as you know, I have a company that's we're big on indie promotions, and we just did a little contract with Terminus. I keep saying Terminus. Jonathan Gresham's new wrestling company that's starting up. Really honored. We have the secret belt coming out, so stay tuned for that on my page on Instagram at the real belt collector, the real _ belt collector. And with that being said, this was actually, I believe, the first ever made from my company, Snaps and Straps Inc. This is the first ever polished plated AAA championship. This is triple stacked, 4mm. It's a beautiful belt. Foss did a beautiful job on it. Stacked plates, side plates. Now the unique thing with this, it has only 3 buckles.
She's thick.
So definitely kept the original. Like I said, everything down to it, polished plated. Like I said, I don't know anybody else that's made this belt. That's tried to make this belt. It's a very hard belt to make, and it takes a lot of time. So I'm very blessed to have this, and yeah, this is my belt. Appreciate it. But yeah, see you again.
Beauty.
Thank you.
No, I haven't seen anyone else own that belt, and that looks really good. I just have a block logo Big Eagle by X-Men Belts, so shout out again to Chris Stratton. Before we go, though, does anyone have any shout-outs? Casey, do you have any shout-outs you want to do?
Yeah, I got a couple. First and foremost, go over to Facebook right after this video, and you type in that search bar, Belt Addicts Anonymous. Join the group, answer them security questions. Remember, we're a bootleg-free zone. But get over there, be a part of this addiction, and join in all the fun, and just have a good time. We love it over there, and so will you. Also want to give a shout-out to my boy, 1990 Hardy One, right here on YouTube. Big belt collector, big live event vlogger. He's got all kinds of stuff. You'll love him. We got a vlog coming out. Well, this is going to air on a Wednesday, and the vlog will be out yesterday then. But yeah, we got vlogs. We're going to Monday Night Raw, January 17th, which as of this filming is tomorrow. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Max Rivera right here, right now. on YouTube. And that's the bottom line. Because KOLFan93 said so. Oh, hell yeah.
Now, before we go, quick shout out to Rob. Hope he feels better for next week. Now, next week, I'm actually not going to announce the episode because I usually do like to announce next week's episode in advance so people know what they're looking for. Next week's actually going to be a really big episode, episode 30. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone who's watching. Thank you guys so much for helping us get to episode 30. We're going to have a huge episode for episode 30. It's going to be a surprise, so be on the lookout for that next week from the time this comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.